Have you ever stopped to think that, at times, frequently helping others might be hiding something we don't always notice? Pay attention, because this constant drive to solve other people's problems could be concealing deep personal insecurities. At first, this gesture seems completely altruistic and full of good intentions. But if we take a moment to reflect, we might discover that this desire to save others could actually be a way of seeking approval or even trying to control things. This takes away the authenticity of the act and can disconnect us from the true meaning of giving. This happens because, many times, helping gives us a sense of importance. It's as if solving someone else's problem validates our worth. But do you know the issue with this? When we place ourselves as heroes and take on responsibilities that aren't ours, we ignore our own limits and end up exhausting ourselves physically and emotionally. After all, no one can handle everything alone. While we pour all our energy into others, we stop taking care of the person who matters most: ourselves. This might seem contradictory, but it's impossible to truly help someone while ignoring our own needs. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the world on your shoulders? Always solving problems, being the person everyone turns to, but deep down you feel drained. This happens because taking on the role of savior is a huge burden, and we weren't made for that. Giving your best is wonderful, but even the act of helping needs boundaries. It's important to understand that everyone has their own path and that sometimes what seems like help is actually a way of interfering with someone else's learning process. By trying to solve everything for someone, you might be preventing them from growing or overcoming their own challenges. When we get too involved in other people's struggles, we negatively affect their growth. Solving everything for them might seem like help, but in practice, we're taking away their opportunity to learn how to deal with their own challenges. Everyone has their journey, and sometimes the best help is simply being present, without trying to control or carry their burdens for them. The price we pay is too high, which is why it's important to learn to say no when necessary and establish healthy boundaries. This isn't selfishness. It's self-care. When you take care of yourself, your energy is renewed, and your ability to help others improves. True help comes from balance, where you support others without losing yourself or wearing yourself out, respecting both their needs and your own. So, think about it. What are you carrying that isn't yours? And most importantly, how can you start taking care of yourself without feeling guilty? You don't need to be the hero in every story. Sometimes just being yourself genuinely and balanced is enough. Additionally, when we prioritize helping others without first considering our own needs, we risk falling into emotional patterns that drain our energy. This can create a cycle of exhaustion where you feel increasingly tired and, often, frustrated. This emotional drain can affect not only your health but also the quality of the help you provide. Altruism is a beautiful gesture, but when it becomes an almost constant obligation, it can turn into something quite harmful. The truth is, helping should not mean losing yourself. When altruism becomes a burden, it loses its true purpose, which is to bring well-being to everyone, including you. By taking care of your own emotions, you'll be better prepared to offer genuine support. After all, the most valuable help comes from a healthy heart. So, what to do? The answer lies in balance. Helping is beautiful, but it needs to come from a place of sincerity, where you understand your own limits and respect those of others. Put yourself first, not out of selfishness, but because taking care of yourself is the only way to truly offer something valuable. When your energy is aligned, your help becomes more genuine and powerful. Reflect on this. Are you helping because you truly want to, or because you're trying to fill some emotional void? Recognize your intentions, set boundaries, and remember that helping others should never mean abandoning yourself. After all, who will take care of you if not you? When you start taking care of yourself, the way you help others changes completely. Your energy is no longer driven by the need for validation but by authenticity. And that makes all the difference. People can sense when your help comes from a genuine place, without expectations of anything in return. This creates more truthful connections while protecting you from the emotional exhaustion that comes with trying to carry problems that aren't yours. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about strengthening relationships. When you know how far you can go, you avoid unnecessary stress and conserve your energy for what truly matters. Remember, helping doesn't mean solving everything for someone, but being there, offering the right kind of support. In this way, you not only help others more effectively but also ensure that your own well-being isn't neglected. Balance is the key to allowing everyone to grow and strengthen together. It's so easy to fall into the trap of wanting to please everyone, making endless sacrifices. Sometimes it feels like life demands this from us, but in reality, over time we lose ourselves. By constantly neglecting our own needs, we start expecting recognition or even that others owe us something. This can create unbalanced relationships where guilt and dependency dominate. The worst part is that by always putting yourself second, you become a prisoner to the expectation of being the savior or doing everything for others. This often invisible weight accumulates stress and frustration until you no longer even recognize yourself. True freedom comes when you learn to value what really matters: your well-being. When you prioritize yourself, you allow yourself to live more fully and healthily. When we constantly sacrifice ourselves, we may start to expect others to do the same for us. And when that doesn't happen, frustration and hurt arise. You might feel like you're giving too much, but others don't realize how much effort you're putting in. This only amplifies the cycle of dissatisfaction and emotional exhaustion. The truth is, no one should rely on others' sacrifices to feel good or whole. Everyone must take responsibility for their own happiness and balance. That's why it's so important to learn to set boundaries. It's not wrong to say no or to ask for what you need. In fact, it's essential for maintaining your emotional health and fostering healthy relationships. By taking care of yourself, you become stronger and more capable of offering genuine support to others without losing yourself in the process. Remember, true help comes from balance, and when you value yourself, relationships become more respectful and harmonious. What many people don't realize is that constant sacrifice can mask a fear of rejection or of not being enough. By trying to please everyone all the time, a person becomes trapped in the need to feel accepted. This creates a false sense of control, where they believe that by doing everything for others, they'll earn love or recognition. However, this pursuit is never fulfilling, because true acceptance begins from within. Change happens when you understand that you don't need to sacrifice yourself to be loved or valued. Moreover, living like a martyr can negatively impact your self-esteem. When you constantly put yourself last, you begin to internalize the idea that you don't deserve the best, that your needs are less important. This creates a vicious cycle where you feel unable to set priorities and often end up overwhelmed by others' expectations. The key is to realize that by taking care of yourself and respecting your boundaries, you become a stronger and more balanced person, capable of giving your best without losing yourself. When you finally understand the importance of self-care, you start attracting more enriching people and situations into your life. Healthy relationships aren't built on constant sacrifices but on mutual respect and genuine support. By allowing yourself to be who you truly are, without having to erase yourself, you begin to surround yourself with people who value you for who you are, not for what you do. This changes everything because, by putting yourself first, you set the standard for the kind of energy you want around you. By making this change, you not only improve your relationship with yourself but also transform the way you interact with the world. The important thing to understand is that your happiness doesn't depend on external validation but on your own recognition that you are enough just as you are. The balance between giving and receiving is what will allow you to live a fuller and more authentic life. So, stop sacrificing yourself for things that don't bring you peace and start living with more freedom and authenticity. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. The most important thing is to start making small choices that prioritize your well-being. Begin, for example, by saying no without guilt when something doesn't resonate with you. Learn to recognize your own needs and meet them with care. By putting yourself first, you'll notice how your energy shifts. You'll feel lighter and more willing to help others genuinely without giving up on yourself. Over time, this practice of self-care becomes natural, and you'll realize how your relationships become stronger and more fulfilling. People around you will also start noticing how much you value yourself and, as a result, respect you even more. Remember, no one needs to sacrifice themselves all the time to be good or valuable. True greatness lies in knowing how to take care of yourself first so that you can offer the best of yourself to others. What's even more surprising is that by investing in this self-care, you begin to notice how your energy becomes more positive and contagious. Instead of carrying the burden of always trying to please, you radiate confidence and serenity, which attracts more genuine and lasting connections. People start to notice that you're more present and available, but without the emotional exhaustion you experienced before. This creates an environment where giving and receiving happen more naturally. At its core, this change is a reflection of your internal transformation. By respecting and caring for yourself, you teach others, without saying a word, how it's possible to live more fully. This not only improves your quality of life but also brings you closer to people who are truly willing to share this positive energy with you. The key to healthy relationships and a happier life is understanding that to be good to others, you first need to be good to yourself. When you allow yourself to live more authentically, without the burden of always having to please or sacrifice, you create a solid foundation for your future. By realizing that your worth doesn't depend on your ability to erase yourself, your self-esteem naturally increases. This not only improves your relationship with yourself but also redefines the way you connect with others. And the most powerful thing about all this is that you begin to attract the right people into your life. People who respect your boundaries, who value your essence, and who share in the balance you've found. This way, relationships become deeper, based on mutual understanding and genuine support. There's no need for you to sacrifice yourself to be important. You are already enough just as you are, and by taking care of yourself, you create the space to have a happier life. When you start prioritizing your own well-being, you begin to notice how it impacts every aspect of your life. The sense of inner peace and balance not only improves your emotional health but also brings more clarity to your decisions. You start acting more consciously, free from the pressure of meeting others' expectations or carrying the weight of responsibilities that aren't yours. This lightness transforms how you live and interact with people. By putting yourself first, you also show others that they can do the same. By setting boundaries with respect and self-love, you inspire those around you to take care of themselves too. This change not only benefits you but also creates a healthier environment for everyone. Over time, you realize that you don't have to give your all to feel like you're making a difference in others' lives. Often, simply being present, offering genuine support, and listening attentively are more valuable than any sacrifice. By being more authentic, you start sharing your positive energy, true attention, and care without ulterior motives. These gestures are often the ones that make the biggest difference in someone's life, without you having to lose who you are. Additionally, by learning to care for yourself, you also strengthen your ability to make more assertive decisions. Without the weight of guilt or the fear of disappointing others, you begin to make choices that truly align with your values and desires. This process of self-discovery allows you to have a clearer vision of what's important in your life, creating space to live more freely and fulfilled. After all, when you make yourself a priority, you're actually allowing yourself to live the life you've always wanted. free from external pressures and others' expectations. One way to identify if you're losing yourself to please others is by paying attention to how you feel after those interactions. If you feel drained, frustrated, or even lost, it's a clear sign that you might be giving too much. A lack of energy or the sense that you're no longer living for yourself but for others are major red flags. The key is learning to recognize when you start giving up your tasks and your time to meet others' expectations. This behavior can harm your self-esteem and self-love. So, if something inside you says, "This isn't right, pay attention," that's the signal for you to stop and change the way you act. If someone is always asking for more without considering your needs, it's time to reflect on how much you're willing to give. It's important to remember that to help others, you need to be well with yourself first. Make it clear how far you can go in helping without sacrificing your own energy or peace. If someone constantly crosses your boundaries, it's essential to learn how to communicate assertively. There's nothing wrong with expressing your needs and saying what you can or cannot do. This doesn't mean you're unwilling to help. It means you're prioritizing your mental and emotional health. Sometimes the best way to help someone is by showing that there needs to be a balance between giving and receiving. By maintaining this balance, you avoid burnout and ensure that you're taking care of your own life, which also needs your attention, while still being a present and supportive person. So, the next time you feel like someone is asking too much, remember, you have the right to say no and take care of yourself. It's important to understand that people who demand too much from you often don't realize the impact they're causing. Sometimes they're not acting in bad faith but are driven by their own needs or insecurities. However, this should not be an excuse for you to keep sacrificing yourself. That's why, by establishing healthy boundaries, you're not only protecting your own space but also teaching others how to interact with you respectfully and with consideration. In the long run, this creates an environment of mutual respect, where everyone benefits. So, don't be afraid to be firm and put your needs first. This is fundamental for a healthy relationship, whether it's familial, professional, or a friendship. It's also important to notice when others' demands begin to affect your self-esteem. When you constantly put yourself second to please or help others, you may start to feel inadequate or drained, which can directly impact your confidence. Remember, your energy is valuable and needs to be preserved. You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness or expectations except your own. By respecting your boundaries, you strengthen your sense of identity and self-esteem, showing that you care about yourself. This self-care is essential for you to truly be present and offer support to others in a healthy way. Sometimes, by always being available for others, you end up neglecting your own plans and desires. This can lead to frustration and even resentment. When this pattern continues for too long, what once seemed like an act of kindness starts turning into a constant burden. People will begin to understand that you have your own priorities and needs, and this, in turn, improves relationships. Relationships based on balance, where both parties have space to grow, are more lasting and harmonious. So, whenever you feel overwhelmed, remember that there's nothing wrong with standing up for your boundaries. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you understand the importance of taking care of yourself first. Only then can you truly be present for those who need you. Living without carrying others' burdens is liberating. When you respect the boundaries between what's yours and what's someone else's, you create space to focus on what really matters to you while preserving your energy. You can support those in need, but without losing yourself in the process. After all, helping with joy is far more powerful than exhausting yourself trying to carry the weight of the world. Remember, you can be a source of light without dimming your own flame. Choose to live lighter, confident that doing your best is enough. After all, true transformation begins when we take care of ourselves. I hope you enjoyed the video. Share it with others so they can also benefit from this message. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive our new content about spirituality. May God bless your life. See you soon.